So now there's something called a Pareto principle, commonly known as the 80-20 rule. It states that 80% of the consequences come from 20% of the causes. Now let's relate that to life. That would mean that 80% of the consequences that we face in life come from 20% of the decisions that we make, or 80% of our problems come from 20% of the things that we do. Let's take a look at how that relates to business. 80% of your revenue will be determined by 20% of your customers. So if 20% of your customers provided for 80% of your revenue, would you treat the 20% the same way that you treated the 80%? Or would you do something a little bit different? In today's video, I'm going to share with you what I do with the 20% as compared to the 80% of my customers. So come on inside, sit back, relax, and let's get down into the business. So if you haven't come into this understanding yet, you probably will sooner than later, and that is that all customers are not the same, right? We're not going to treat all customers the same in regards to giving them the same amount of time, the same amount of skill set, the same amount of our services, so we'll treat our customers differently. Now, some customers are going to require a bigger demand of your services, a bigger demand of your time. And the question that I believe has to be answered is what's on the other end of that demand? And what's on the other end of that demand will determine how much time you actually commit, how much energy, how much of your resources you actually commit to this customer or customers like this. And let me be clear. When I said earlier, the question is what's attached to the demand on your time and services, I don't necessarily mean just in reference to a monetary attachment, at least not in the beginning, because we know before we can make any money, there has to be an opportunity for us to make money, right? So the opportunities are important. If I can look at customers that I'm working with, and I notice that I'm getting more opportunities to bid on freight, to talk to shippers about freight, then I know that this is a customer that I'm probably going to spend more time with, that I want to talk to more often, because this is where my opportunities are coming from, and opportunities equal at some point, when you capitalize on those opportunities, money. My customers first start to separate themselves from one another based off of the opportunities that they provide, but of course it eventually leads to what am I getting from those opportunities? What type of revenue am I earning from the opportunities that I have with these shippers? Because sometimes what we'll learn is that some shippers are not worth our time. Now that doesn't mean that you jump to that conclusion prematurely, because it could be on you why you're not making money or as much money as you would like on that shipper. It could definitely be on you. So we have to take a look at it and evaluate it before we come to that conclusion. And I want to emphasize the point of not jumping to a conclusion prematurely, because what I have sometimes is people come to me and they say, hey Brandon, I've been working with this shipper and I've moved a few loads with them, and it just seems if they're the type of shipper that they're going to be cheap and I'm not going to be able to make money. I've seen the loads that they have been giving me and the margins are really small. But you only looked at a few loads. So you cannot make that assumption, or you should not, in my opinion, make that assumption just based off of a few loads. You need to start working with that shipper, working in different regions with that shipper before you come to the conclusion that this shipper is cheap or it's not, or the shipper is not worth your time. Make sure you evaluate that situation properly before you move on from shippers. Why? Because it takes a lot to get a shipper. You put a lot of time and energy and effort into getting a shipper, so we don't want to just walk away from shippers because you think you're not able to make money with those shippers. So now let's take a look at the top 20% of your customer base. And when you first get started, it's not going to be hard at all to figure out who falls in that top 20%. Because when you look at your customer base, you're going to be working with these folks every day. If you have 10 customers that you're working with, you'll clearly be able to see who the top 2 or 3 customers are based off of the work that you're doing with those customers and what's coming from that work, the revenue that's being produced from that. You'll be able to see that. Now, I believe that you should treat those customers differently. You should spend more time with the customers that give you the most opportunities. You should talk to them more often. Say, hey, what can we do today to provide you bids, quotes on something today? I'm not talking about lanes that you're having moved tomorrow. We can provide bids today. So that way you can get more opportunities in front of you. When you have customers that are willing to do that, give you those opportunities because, hey, let's just look at it. They are moving loads. That's what customers do. So you want to get your chance to provide rates back to those shippers on those loads. When they're doing that, when they're giving you those opportunities, even if you're not capitalizing on those opportunities just yet, that is a win, because you're getting the chance to, and eventually you'll be able to move some loads with that shipper, and that's when the learning process starts, when you start making money, and then you'll be able to see, hey, this is a shipper that I can move forward with, I can keep moving loads with. As a matter of fact, I may even want to go into contract with this shipper on some loads so that we can have a steady stream of loads coming in. And after about 3 to 6 months of working with the shipper, depending on how much volume we're moving with the shipper, we'll request a one-on-one, request a meeting so that we can possibly get a tour of the facility to understand better about what the shipper does, so that we can offer different services, because the whole idea is to move more of the shipper's freight. We understand that it's very possible that we're moving a fraction of that shipper's freight. So after we've developed a relationship, we've worked with that shipper for 3 to 6 months, now we want to come in and get a bigger segment of their freight. Have a meeting, introduce ourselves, put a name with the face so they can know us, we can know them, they can know that we have a real interest in helping them to solve the problems that they have. The more trucks you get under your shipper's freight, the more chance you have to solve your shipper's problems, the more money that you're going to earn. Now, how do you get those chances? Remember, we talked about access to freight. Some shippers are going to send you freight. Other shippers give you access to their freight automatically. You get to basically log into a system and get access to that shipper's freight. That's going to be more so in the 20% range of your customers. You're not going to get that with all of your customers. So you have one customer that's sending you freight every now and again, and then you have a customer where you can go in and access that freight anytime you get ready, 24/7, then definitely you want to give that shipper a different level of attention than you would give one who doesn't offer those kind of opportunities. Now, as it pertains to the other half of our customers, the 80%, those are our customers as well. We're definitely going to give them a very good service. We're going to give them the best service that we can give them, but we're not going to spend most of our time with those shippers. Why is that? Because they are not producing what our other customers are producing. We have to spend the time with the shippers who are demanding more of our time because they're giving us more freight, more problems to solve. That's how I see it. Not everybody sees it that way. Some people think that they need to evenly distribute their time amongst their customer base. I don't see it that way. What's most important to me is who is providing me with the most business. That's who I'm going to spend most of my time with. And one of the most important things that we get from this experience is we get to learn what type of customers we really want to look for. Because who do you think that I'm going to be looking for as a new customer? The 80% of customers that I'm already working with, that I already see, is probably not a customer that's going to pan out in the long run, or would it be the 20% of customers that are giving me those opportunities that I'm making money with? Those are the type of customers that I'll be looking for moving forward. So a lot comes from the experience of learning what type of customers are best for you to work with. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope this information has been helpful. If you're interested in learning more about the freight broker business, I'll leave a free link in the description. It's my 5-video series, and it's titled How the Load Movement Process Works. Gives you a chance to come into the office with me, lets you watch me on video as I move loads, talk to shippers and carriers, to give you a better understanding of how this business works before you decide to come into it. And then if you're interested in learning more about how we go out and find the shippers that we work with, the customers that we do business with on a daily basis, I'll leave a free video right here. So until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.